Hello, crypto world. Welcome to the Chart Historian. My name is Justin, and on this channel, I delve deep into crypto charts, exploring chart structures, fractals, and patterns. In this video, I'm going to talk about Casper, what I believe is happening on the macro structure chart, what I believe is going to take place in the coming days. So first off, in my last video, I talked about Casper making another high, and in this chart right here on CoinMarketCap, it did right here. However, if we jump over to TradingView over here, it came mighty close, but it's just a hair underneath this one right here, this peak. But it is on this chart, the CoinMarketCap, that we are following the macro structure. So it is this one that was the important indicator. It was this one that I told you that it was going to make a higher high, which it did right here. So this is the overall first bull run structure. We are almost complete this structure, folks. So what we have left is this wave right here, this bounce. Now, something to keep in mind about this bounce, just because the fractal shows it stopping here, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stop here. The timing, the height, and the depth of a fractal, when it repeats, is going to be original to that iteration of that fractal. So it could potentially not go as low, or it could go lower than what it did over here. That's something to be aware of. If it does go lower, you should not fear. It's not the end of the world. It will pull back up and eventually work its way into the next structure. Now, I want to show you the original structure that we are copying, and that is way back over here. Let's zoom out a little. Okay, so here we are back in 2021. This is that bounce that we were following. We were expecting it to go lower, and it did not go as low as at least I thought it was going to go. Of course, in all my videos, I talk about how I don't know how low it will go because I really don't know. It's just the way I drew it, it was not as deep as the way I drew it, but that's just me guessing. So once it completed this bounce, price moved up into this wave right here. And if we were to copy this wave right here, we would have a fractal that looks like this. Well, folks, this fractal is this fractal right here. So I just matched it to this size right here. After it completed that fractal, it moved up and it did this fractal right here. Now, it moved up very fast on today's chart. But if we zoom in here, we can see the jagged parts right here where it comes to a peak, like this fractal shows. Now, this wave right here, if we were to zoom in here on a smaller time frame, we'd probably see that as well. So here we are zoomed in a little more on a 30-minute candle versus a 1-hour candle. And if we copy this structure right here, we can see that happened over here. Now, every time a structure repeats, the basic idea repeats, but there's going to be some deviations. So in the original structure, it just did one wave up. On this one, it kind of did three kind of peaks right here before going into this bounce or swoop down right here. So after this decline, there's this part right here, and if we were to get a fractal copy of that, it looks like this. Well, that took place over here. And then on this move up, it happened very fast on the original structure. But if we go into a small time frame, let's do that. So here we are on a 5-minute candle. And if we were to copy this fractal right here, we have a structure that looks like this, which is this structure right here. So as you can see, there are some deviations, such as right here. There are also some wild peaks, and that can happen when a structure repeats, but the basic idea is repeating. We have this first wave here, this little kind of pit stop right here, and these waves right here. Now, as this structure was unfolding, I wasn't sure where we were, but as it has come to its matured state, it is easier to know where things are in the structure. So we have this part right here which is this right here. So let's jump back over to today's chart. So as you can see, the parts on some parts were smaller, some parts were larger, some parts they played out very fast, but when you zoom in, like right here on a real small time frame, you see that it's the same structure playing out. So folks, as you can see, Casper is following this structure right here, this bull run structure. Now, there are some in the Casper community that do not believe Casper has had a bull run. You know, I completely understand where they're coming from. Let's look at it from their point of view. All this right here does not show up on most exchanges. This is like prehistory. So most people don't even know about it. There are other concerns that this chart really represents IOUs. It wasn't a legitimate exchange. It wasn't really being traded, as well as this had very low liquidity. These concerns, those are valid, true concerns, and I am not here to sweep any of that under the carpet. Let's bring that out in the light of day and acknowledge it. The only reason why I keep going back to this structure is whatever the reasons why we should not use it, Casper is following this. And this is typical of a Genesis macro structure. What happens in the beginning of a chart is typically repeated over and over. It becomes part of the macro structure. So I will leave that to you guys to sort out and figure out whether or not Casper has had a bull run. As you ponder that, I will tell you about what will come next. Okay, so I'm zoomed in a little more. So here is the next structure we are going to be moving into. Let's look at this on a small time frame. So here is that same structure on a 5-minute candle. So we are currently just finishing up this part right here. So once Casper completes this bounce here, Casper will begin to move up. Now there is this possible little correction right here that we could see take place on the Casper chart. I'm not saying that we will, but it is a possibility. It's not on some of the previous bull run structures, but it is on this one. So I would expect it to happen. So just be on the lookout for that. It is before the real true second structure. So in this second structure, price will begin to move up more aggressively. This may begin to catch people's eye that Casper is kind of moving up fast. But here's the thing I want to point out to you. It has a substantial pullback. In fact, after this little correction, if we get it, it may potentially pull back almost all the way back to this correction. So this is what I am expecting to see eventually. I'm expecting to see it move up aggressively. I'm expecting an aggressive pullback. I'm expecting all these parts, this bounce here, this move up here. I wouldn't be surprised to see it have waves like this. I wouldn't be surprised to see it pull back and do this little wave right here, it move up and do this little correction right here before really taking off. Now, I don't know how high this will go. I don't know the timing. I don't know how low these lows will go. All that is yet to be seen as it plays out. All I can say is that expect something similar in the same way that today's chart followed the original structure over here. So we still need to go through this bounce right here before that takes place. Do not be alarmed again if this goes below what this fractal suggests. That is not a problem because it will be moving down at the right place, doing what it should be doing. Eventually, it will begin to move up into the next structure. So folks, that is my little update on Casper. Folks, I just want to reiterate too that this part of the chart, I am not trying to be contentious. I am not trying to create division. I am in the trenches right beside the people that have issues with this part of the chart. I am a fellow Casper holder. I got into Casper because I found it to be an interesting coin, and I started creating content on my YouTube channel about Casper just because I saw all the negative comments about Casper, and so my goal was to try to educate people that, hey, Casper has a repetitive macro structure, and there is going to be a bull run. It's had one. Now, I know people don't agree with this, but it's had one in its past, whether it was legitimate in your opinion or not. It had a structure that today's bull run is going to follow, just as Casper has been following this part of the structure. This bull run that we are going to experience in 2024 is going to resemble this bull run that took place in 2021. I don't know a lot about the tokenomics. There's a lot I don't know about. My specialty is chart structure. That's my niche. That's what I know. And one other thing, there is a hierarchy of confidence that you can put in my work. So when I talk about macro structures, that is something you can be confident about. When I delve into smaller time frames, like over here on Twitter, where I talked about this potential move up, that Casper had a possibility of moving up, well, it actually did begin to move up, and then it turned around and came crashing back down. These smaller time frame things, less confidence. But when it comes to the macro structure, it's something that is more guaranteed. So just so you know. And also recent history. Anything from recent history, put less confidence in. Recent history can help be a guide for what is potentially taking place on the chart, but it can change from one day to the next, one moment to the next, the same as a smaller time frame. But the macro structure, it may play out in a unique way. It's going to play out in a unique way, but it will accomplish the basic idea that the macro structure is calling for, just like we see here. Well, folks, I hope this video was helpful. If you found it helpful, it'd be much appreciated if you hit that thumbs up button. I'm not a financial advisor, so this is not financial advice. But if you did enjoy what you saw and you're not a subscriber yet, I recommend hitting that subscribe button. I'll continue to follow this chart as it continues to develop. There's exciting times ahead for Casper. We are at the beginning of the bull run. This was the first structure. We're almost done. We're going into the next one. I'm so glad you caught this video. I hope you catch my next one. Have a great day, and bye for now.